Hey everybody, it's Blane. Just want to talk to you a little bit about predator fishing, how to handle them, how to keep the fish healthy while you try to get the hooks out. Going to kind of go over all that kind of stuff. So let's start with once you hook a muskie. Say we're going to talk about muskies. This could be big pike, could be big brown trout, whatever. Um, Make sure that you're using proper equipment so you're not overexerting the fish unnecessarily, meaning heavier lines, heavier rods, whatnot. It's, all that stuff is conditional, like warmer waters, less oxygen in the water. Probably should leave those fish alone. For me, when I'm fighting a fish, I always point the rod at them. Don't lift on them, just kind of point it at them. Try to keep most of the tension through the butt, where you're really putting the most heat on the fish so you can get them to the net quicker. So once you have a fish like a big muskie, for example, to the net, what's the best thing to do? I prefer nowadays to use a big net. When I say big net, it's a net as big as you could put a human in. That way you're able to scoop them up and keep them in the net while you're figuring out what you're going to do, see where the hooks are, how the fish is doing, all that kind of stuff. Let them rest. Probably the best tool for big predators is a cradle, but cradles take a little bit longer to land the fish. They could be a little bit more cumbersome if you're not used to them. I used cradles for a very long time. It's absolutely the best tool, in my opinion, once you land a fish or as you land a fish and then you let them rest, because you can close that cradle up and just let them set and put them into the current and let them set and rest. And closing it up, it seems to make them less apt to start rolling and fighting you. It's kind of like that whole thing why they biologists put masks over alligators and whatnot. They cover their eyes. It seems to calm them down. Cradles are dark, so when you close it up, it seems to calm them down. So that's a good thing. But as soon as you open it up, that's when they start thrashing and all. But best thing to do is once you land them, put them in the water, let them kind of get their breath, basically, kind of start getting rid of that lactic acid built up during the fight, all that kind of stuff. So cradle's good. The best tool for landing them by far is definitely a big net. But a cradle, if you have both, and you can easily transfer a fish. I a lot of times will have both. It's a lot more work, but the one thing about any type of fishing these days is minimize the amount of air exposure is the best thing for the fish. And for us, and for me, having them in a net the whole time, and if you can do this is also very important. If you can get to the bank or get into shallow water, we wear waders when we're trophy muskie hunting these days, so we can all get in the water with the fish. That way, if you are doing pick up a fish and try to get the hooks out or whatever, if the fish starts thrashing, they'll fall into the water instead of into the boat, which is not going to be good for them. So we'll take that time to slide over to a bank, get out, assess where the hook is, where you got to do to get the hook out or whatnot. A lot of times we're fortunate where the hook pops right out during thrashing, but that's another reason I like a cradle, because there's less openings to where the hooks can get into the hoops of the net holes and all that kind of stuff. So there's good things and bad things about each one. You just gotta pick what's best for you, but most important thing is making sure that fish is as healthy as it was before it ate your fly. So try, if you can, to get to the bank, wear waders so you can do that. That way, if you do have a fish and you want to get that picture. For me, I've been taking pictures of fish in the water with the angler for the past 6-7 years. Occasionally we'll do that quick lift and then back in the water, but I'm minimizing air exposure as much as possible. I want to keep these predators are hard to catch and they're hard to come by anyway, so you want to keep every one of them as healthy as you possibly can. That's one reason I do not fish for our fish during warm water months. I don't think you should really fish for muskies in Virginia from June through the end of September. I think they should have a season from October to May, because our water temperatures start getting into the 80s. You get low dissolved oxygen levels. It's pretty simple. The fish move over to where springs are, where the water temperature is 60 degrees, 65 degrees, instead of living in 80-degree water temperatures and then way up there in the summer months. So it's really good to pay attention to water temperatures, dissolved oxygen levels, all that kind of stuff. As big and strong as these fish are, they're very delicate, and that includes pike and and a lot of big predatory fish, big browns, all of that. So pay attention to water temperatures, dissolved oxygen levels, all that kind of stuff. If you start seeing fish where springs dump into the rivers, leave them alone. I mean, that's my biggest indicator. If you slide by underwater springs that are bubbling up, or or a little spring dumps in or something, you see fish laying over there, then they're there for a reason, most likely for survival. Let's talk about now what happens once you got that fish to the boat and whatever. You got to make sure you have the right tools for the job, right? It's just like anything in life. If you have the wrong tool for the job's at twice as hard. Make sure you have a good pair of pliers, especially long nose pliers. I left mine in my boat, but I would show them to you. But you want to have long nose pliers in case you got to reach way back into their mouths to get it. I use Loons. They came out with some a few years ago. Those work perfect. If you don't have Loons or whatever, just get any really long nose plier. That really helps. Keeps you away from the teeth, keeps you away from the head thrashing and accidentally getting cut. Another thing too is a good hook extractor where you can reach down in there and pop the hook out. This is also a nice Loon product. I use this all the time. Another thing is our good pair of jaw spreaders. And I'm doing this while the fish is in the net usually, and trying to minimize, like I said, minimize air exposure. There'll be times where they eat it really deep and you got to keep that mouth open so you can get down in there with the pliers to get that hook out. Sometimes you can't get that hook, and sometimes it's in a bad place where it could hurt the fish, and the more you're messing with that fish, the worse that fish is going to be when you try to release them. So another thing is have a pair of bolt cutters or wire cutters, heavy duty, so you can get in there and cut that hook. You can always exchange a hook. Recent years I've been using slip rings on flies. You can use treble, you can use a single hook, you can use whatever. A lot of people use barbless. Barbless is a good way to go. Just keep the line tight, and it'll pierce the fish better. I personally on muskies don't use barbless hooks just because I felt that there's too many things that go wrong with the angler, and just not the experience of it all, and maybe having a little bit of slack and it comes off and you work that hard to get them. I just feel like if you do things right, you can get it out of there pretty quick and easy, and their mouths are mostly bone anyway, so it's really tough to get a hook penetrated. But barbless definitely penetrates better than barb. Barb seems to hold a little bit better. But you could do either one. I mean, if I was not guiding, I'd probably go barbless a lot. I just want to help my clients out as much as possible, but I make sure I do what I can do to make sure that fish is healthy in the long run. And that's keeping the fish in the water 99.9% of the time when you have them, and then making sure that the fish swims away healthy. Hero picture is great. We all want that. That's what we do when we catch them. But try to get more creative with your fishing pictures. I think some of these pictures that we're putting out these days, where you kind of can expose the fish to the camera more, kind of out in front of you holding it, makes to me a much better photo than the traditional grip and grin like the picture here. But you could see right there, we're in the water, fish was underwater a lot. We literally pick the fish up really quick, take a bunch of shots, and then it's done. So those are a couple tips that I could give you to make sure that when you're predator hunting, to keep those fish healthy and to make your day on the water a lot safer too. Without the tools that I just recommended, a lot of times you could end up in the hospital yourself with really bad lacerations, or having a hook in the fish and they start thrashing around and that hook gets connected to you and that fish, then you're in trouble. That's where bolt cutters come in handy. You never know when it'll happen, and it can happen 100%. So just be safe on the water, do what we got to do to keep our fish safe, and hopefully you'll get out there and have some good fishing. And it's predator fishing down here in the south right now, so hopefully you're having some good luck, whether you're brown trout fishing or musky fishing or whatever it may be. Hope to see you on the water, and hope this helped you out.